have you.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. Thank you very much for joining my session. And Damien, thank you very much for setting this up, as well as for Chart for putting this little webinar together. My name is Jesse Bray. I am the founder of Punk Angler Development. I am a 24-year restaurant industry professional and an 11-year member of the Council of Hotel and Restaurant Trainers Chart. I started my career as a dishwasher and progressed up to new restaurant opening trainer, restaurant manager, culinary specialist, vice president of HR and training, and most recently, a vice president of operations for a fast casual concept. That was before starting my own company, Punk Angler Development. And my company provides operations and training solutions for emerging hospitality brands. And as I like to say, the focus of my company is helping other companies learn how to fit. And this crazy looking guy here was me when I started my restaurant career. This was me doing what I thought was my real job, which was playing punk music in a band. That's what I was going to do with the rest of my life. However, playing in a band while being a full-time college student didn't exactly pay the rent. So like a lot of college students, I got a job working in the restaurant industry. But I was not really interested in working with the guests. And quite frankly, there's not many general managers that are out there would want a person that looked like this talking to their guests regardless. So it kind of worked out well, and I got a job in a dish room working for a Ponderosa. That's how my 24-year career in the industry started. Now, at the time that this picture was taken, I was not working at a dishwasher at Ponderosa. I was working at a different restaurant. And let's just call it the Crimson Crustacea. So after working for 6 months at the Crimson Crustacea, I decided I never wanted to wash dishes again. I thought that any job where I had to keep my front porch so they wouldn't stink up the house was just not going to be a job for me. That was until I realized that I had to pay back all of those college loans that were building up. And I finally decided to dedicate my career to something that I really enjoyed, which was working in the restaurant industry. And as I progressed in my career, as I said, being a dishwasher to a vice president of operation, my opinion about dishwashers drastically changed. Now, my story about being a dishwasher is not unlike many others. Most of the most recognized people inside of our industry started out as dishwashers. Now take Chef Chris Santos, for example. Now, Chef Chris is a partner of over 20 restaurants and is a client of mine with the Tao Group and is a regular judge on the Food Network show Chopped. Chef Chris started out as a dishwasher at the age of 13, which is not legal today unless you're working in a family business, but regardless, at the time, it was acceptable. So Chris started at the age of 13 and worked his way up to becoming a celebrity chef. When I asked Chef Chris his thoughts on the role of dishwashers in the industry, he said this, that there remains one constant inside of the industry, and that dishwashers are the backbone of every kitchen. I had no idea at 13, sweating and scrubbing pots, that I was providing a crucial service. Chef Chris is right. Dishwashers are the backbone in our industry. And think about this. No single position inside of all of our segments, be it quick service to fine dining, has as much impact on every guest as dishwashers do. All of us wash dishes in some way. Whether it's a conveyor machine or a 3-compartment sink, we are all washing some dishes. And every guest that eats inside of our restaurants or drinks from a glass or is served food from a utensil, all of those items are washed by a dishwasher. So a dishwasher's work literally touches every single guest that walks through our doors. Moreover, dishwashers have a large effect on the productivity of other employees, the cost of smallwares, and of course, the cost of chemicals. Now, despite these facts, dishwashers receive the least amount of training of anyone inside of our restaurant, and we're often the lowest paid. According to a recent survey by Snagajob, average dishwasher makes in the United States $8.50 an hour. $8.50 an hour. If you put that in scale of what the poverty level is, that's only $2,600 above poverty level for a full-time employee. Now, most of our dishwashers work multiple jobs just to make things meet. And we need to show them the respect that they deserve for the job that they do. Dishwashers play a crucial part in our business today, and I will provide you with ways that you can invest in them so they can in turn invest in our business by improving our operations. In this session, I'm going to cover 3 key learning objectives. Number 1, how to maximize efficiency by properly cleaning and opening the dish station. Increase profitability by properly taking care of the equipment, smallwares, and use of chemicals. And finally, learn best ways to train dishwashers. In addition to touching every single guest with their work, dishwashers and the setup of the dish station itself has a large effect on every person working inside the restaurant. And this goes past just having clean dishes. The organized dish station and all the dishware in the restaurant has a huge impact on the productivity and employee morale. Now, if you don't believe me, just ask the people who have to deal with it every day. Or better yet, watch any restaurant when the dish station goes down on a Friday or Saturday night. There ain't a single person that's happy out there when the dish station goes down. All great restaurant operations start with great closes and then great opens, and in that order. To have a great open, you have to have a great close. You can have a great open and not a great close, but the next day, you're not going to have a great open again. It all starts with a great close. And a great close in the dish station, the efficiency of everyone in the kitchen. It starts with the concept of closing to open. In this concept, a closed restaurant, you're setting it up so that when you open much quicker and easier than you did the previous day. To do that, almost everything that comes out of the dish station or goes through the dish station has to come back out onto the line. Do you know the worst place to store dishes and smallwares? It's the dish room, and it's the place where we most frequently keep them. It's the worst place to have them. Your employees should not have to hunt for what they need to set up. This is one of the biggest ways of productivity inside of the restaurants. When opening cooks are searching through bus bins or Lexans trying to find utensils they need, it is a huge time suck. Not to mention the utensils that are stored inside of those Lexans and bins are frequently not cleaned and then have to be washed over again. So you wind up doing double work. Now, what if I told you that you could cut back your end time for every one of your opening cooks by 15 minutes just by having every utensil brought back out in line to the place that it's used? You'd probably be interested in that. Well, think about this. So if you have 2 dishwashers that spend an extra 30 minutes at night at close, which is basically an hour, resetting up the line and taking everything from the dish station that was brought there back out to the line, it would cost you between $8.50 to $12. If you have 5 opening cooks the next day and you shave off 15 minutes of their opening time, you'd save between $12 and $15. That's a daily savings of only $6.50 to $6.75. That doesn't seem like a lot, but annually that turns out to be about $2,300 to $2,400 in savings. You're probably saying that's not a lot of money, don't know if it's worth the effort, but I have not met an operator throughout my entire career that isn't trying to save as much money and labor as they possibly can. To improve your operations and to save time and money, get everything out of the dish room and back onto the line where it belongs. Now, what about all those extra pots and pans and utensils that are used at various times, like spatulas and mixing bowls, or even sheet pans? They should be stored in the station where they are needed the most. If your prep crew is the heaviest users of mixing bowls and sheet pans, then store those items in their station. It will increase their productivity because they're not constantly searching for equipment that they need. Another example of this is storing items where people need them the most. Now, I at one point worked as a kitchen manager for a Tex-Mex concept, and we used a lot of pre-made salad dressings. So where do you think I kept all of my rubber spatulas? I kept them at the salad station where the servers were located. I knew that servers were less likely than cooks to go back and grab a spatula from the dish station or back by the prep area, especially when they were busy. So I always kept my spatulas hanging over the salad station so they could scrape out their containers of dressing. This saved them time because they didn't have to go look for spatulas, and ultimately it saved me food cost. Having a clean dish station is also extremely important when it comes to the morale and productivity of the rest of the staff. Not only does it look and quite frankly smell better, but you're more likely to have a clean dishware when everything inside the dish machine is clean itself. Now, one way to ensure that a dish machine is cleaned properly for the next day is to completely break down the dish machine and let the morning dishwasher put it back together. Now, this includes breaking down the spray arms, spraying them out, cleaning them out, removing debris from the jets, also removing the screens and the curtains, and draining the tank. I also actually preferred for them to pick up the drain basin that was underneath the spray arm and have it set vertically so that I knew that the sink itself had been cleaned. Now, this seems somewhat contrary to what a closed open concept is, but it does allow for closing manager and chef, as well as the opening manager and opening chef, to make sure that the machine is clean and ready to wash dishes for the following day. Now, how about the dish station and how it's set up? How it's set up makes a world of difference to every employee and how they work. One of the best tools inside of a manager and chef's toolbox is the ability to observe employee behaviors, and especially inside of the dish station. Every second that saves an employee time at the dish station is an extra second that they could be doing something else. From a server side, they could be selling something else. They could be selling another cocktail, getting another drink, selling a dessert, or even turning a table. So let's take a look at a couple of schematics, shall we? Now, in this particular schematic is an example of the dish station where I was the kitchen manager at for the Tex-Mex concept. And here you will see this little black line. Let me see if my highlighter is working here. There we go, highlighter. So what you see here in this little black area, this line is a fixed wall, cannot be moved. We can't do anything with that. So that's a wall. Here you have the entrance to that area. So what happens in this particular case is you've got a light blue section, which is the drop-off station. This is also the return area. The dark blue represents the spray area and the dish machine. Here you will see a silverware, a linen bag, and an ice dump. Now, for those of you that are not familiar with what an ice dump is, it is typically some sort of a drain bucket in which servers can take half-drunk glasses or remaining from the guest drinks, dump it into this portion. And then over here, you have a trash can. Now, this looks pretty normal as far as any other dish station is concerned. But when you actually put into the flow of what this looks like onto a Friday, Saturday night, it gets a little crazy. This is what the traffic pattern flow looks like for this particular dish station. It is a hot mess. Yes, this could work in low volume, but on a Friday and Saturday nights, the drop-off station gets really backed up. Now, in this case, the most frequently used piece is the ice dump. And so you have a constant crossover from servers coming in from the dining room looking to drop over glasses. Additionally, their plates into the trash can, they have to sling their silverware all the way across to the other side. Now, what occurs here is the dishwasher actually winds up getting sprayed, and they get silverware thrown at them, the food particles mess up, and the dishwashers get upset. And then when the dishwashers get upset, they start to yell at the servers. And then the servers start to yell back at the dishwashers, and it is a mess. However, if you make a few small changes to this particular station, you'll wind up seeing a big difference. Now here, you'll see that we made one small improvement, and it's a huge improvement. We just rotated the trash can and the ice dump. Now, this doesn't seem like a lot, but when you actually put into the flow of traffic into this station, you will see that it's drastically cleaned up. Let me try to get rid of my little erase all drawings. There we go. That works. So inside of this particular case, the ice dump is right where the most frequently used part of the dish station is, which is towards the entrance. And so servers can come in, drop their ice, and then go out to wash their hands. The dishwasher is no longer getting hit by glassware, or not by glassware, by silverware and water, because you no longer have to sling silverware across the drop station to get to the silverware soak. So the dishwashers are going to be happy. And ultimately, this flow works considerably better. And you only had to make one small change, which is rotating the trash can and the ice dump. Now, what does this look like in real life? Now, in real life, this looks like this particular station here. Now, this is a schematic that I put together recently for a server job aid. from a front view of a dish station. Now, in addition to knowing what goes on where and where everything is, as far as the ice dump and the silverware, you have to know which glass racks are which place. Now, most people just kind of put glass racks up wherever they want to, and that's not the best case scenario. The glass racks need to be organized so that the one that's used the most is also the most readily available for the server. Just to randomly place glass racks at different places will cause you just as much chaos and grief for the servers as it does for the dishwashers. A properly set up dish station will save you time, and as I said earlier, this time is best spent out in the dining room, increasing your sales. So let's recap maximizing efficiency. First, practice close to open. Get everything that goes to the dish room back out into the stations to where it belongs. The worst place that you can keep plates, utensils, dishware is in the dish room. Store pots and pans and utensils where they are used the most. If your prep cooks are the ones using the sheet pans the most, store all of your clean sheet pans in the prep area. Clean and break down the dish machine. This seems very basic, but is one of the most basically overlooked items. To have clean plateware, you have to have a clean dish machine. And finally, set up your dish station so it has a natural flow and the only way to figure out the natural flow and movement of what your dish station looks like is to actually watch the people that work there and make the adjustments to make life easier. Now, although increasing the productivity may help save some hard labor costs, let's look at some practices that will save you some real money in your dish operations. Now, the obvious place to start is going to be plateware. Let's face it, plateware is expensive. A single plate can cost you between $4 and $100 depending on your operations. You know what the best way is to prevent breakage inside of your restaurant? I didn't believe it when I was first told this, when I first realized it, but every case of plates and glasses that includes slower periods, in particular in slower periods, when there may not be a dishwasher on the clock. Let's face it, we're all out there trying to save labor, so when we're not busy, we frequently do not have dishwashers working. It gives me the hives when I walk into a kitchen between lunch and dinner service and see a huge pile of dishes piling up, waiting for the PM dishwasher to come in and clock in. Guess what happens when you have a pile of that many dishes waiting for someone to wash them? Eventually, someone's going to bump into them, and you're going to break some plates. And if you wind up breaking 1 to 2 plates every single day, you have wound up breaking as much money as you would have saved by having a dishwasher working on the clock. But we don't typically think about that as operators. We look at labor and controllables in 2 different lines, when in all actuality, it's all cash that hits the bottom of your P&L. Now, let's face it, most plates do not break themselves on their own. Glasses, sometimes a little bit different story, but for the most part, plates do not break themselves. So when you're talking about investing in dishwashers to improve your operations, that means sometimes you're investing time with them to ensure that they are not overstacking and smashing plates around. Now, I've been a dishwasher. I get it. When you're getting slammed on a Friday and Saturday night, you just want the amount of plates to go away. So you're loading them inside of racks and you're throwing them in the machines as quickly as you possibly can so you can just try to keep up and go home in a reasonable amount of time. But unfortunately, by overfilling racks and slamming glassware and racks into the dish machine, you wind up breaking plates. And that is a behavior that has to stop. But it's not a behavior that'll stop if the manager and chef is not back there actually watching and coaching the behaviors they have. The I have listed on here is limit bus tub use. Now, this goes along with the employee behaviors. If employees are throwing dishware into bus tubs and overfilling bus tubs, the plates will break. Some people, bussers particularly, they'll treat a bus tub like it's a moving truck, trying to fill every single space by shoving as much plates and forks, anything you can, inside of the small spaces you possibly can. Now, that results into chipped plates. It results into lost silverware that gets thrown into the trash, overfilling and overusing bus tubs cost you money. Now you might be thinking, does anyone really spend time coaching these behaviors and doing things? Does it really prove an effort? Well, one of my clients felt it was obviously worth doing so, and they absolutely felt it was worth it. So working with them, we spent 6 months retraining all of their dishwashers and bussers inside of New York. And to show you what our return was for the first 6 months of this year, they wound up saving 23% year to date versus prior year in all of their smallware's cost, just by simply retraining dishwashers and bussers on taking care of plateware and glassware so they would not break. Saving time and saving money by organizing, being careful, does net you return. It improves your operations, and above all, it improves your bottom line. Now, smallware costs are huge, but so are repairs and maintenance costs. Like all pieces of equipment, taking good care of dish machine and its supporting parts is the best way to avoid repair costs. Imagine if you have a car that you drive 30,000 miles a day. 30,000 miles a day. Not only would you have a really sore backside, but you would also change your oil every 2 hours. This is what a dish machine goes through each day. Every 2 hours, you have to drain the water, clean out all of the parts to not only keep the plates clean, but also to keep the machine in good working order. And depending on the quality of water that you may have to de-lime the dish machine once a week, which is the equivalent of basically flushing out your transmission every single week. These machines go through a ton of work every single day, and we have to take care of them. Regardless of how well we take care of our equipment, though, some things just typically go bad. We deal with a lot of water inside the dish room, so you add water to anything and things go bad and they break. In the dish station, things that break are typically basic plumbing and equipment like gaskets and spray arms. To continually invest in our dishwashers so they improve our business and operations, you need to replace these items so that they have a good working environment back there. The only thing that's keeping your dishwasher working for you versus someone else is the environment in which they are working in. So the better environment you provide for them, the more likely it is that they're going to stay working for you. Now, and chances are, unless someone's spending time back there in the dish station, you won't even know some of these small things are broken because the dishwashers probably won't tell you. They'll just find a way to fix it themselves. And you do not want dishwashers fixing things themselves. Trust me. They will shove towels into sinks when the drain stopper is broken. They'll tie plastic wrap around a spray arm if it's leaking so they don't get sprayed the rest of the night. And I've even seen dishwashers drill holes in the back of a wall and run a hose to the mop sink because the mop sink had a greater water pressure than what the spray arm hose did. They will find a way to fix it, and how they fix it will actually wind up costing you more money in the long run. Just as dishwashers will find a way to fix a workaround for small equipment issues, almost every dishwasher I have ever met thought they were some sort of mad chemist working back there in the dish room. And they'll find a way to clean something the fastest way possible, regardless of how dangerous it might be. So they're thinking, hey, if this chemical works really well when it's mixed with water, I wonder what would happen when it's not diluted and it's a concentrate, and I just pour it straight on the floor and scrub it. It should become clean quicker, right? It does, but what that does is it actually winds up destroying all of your grout. They're also thinking, if this cleaner does really well cleaning off glass from an oven door, I wonder if I mix it with glass cleaner, or even worse, mix it with bleach. No. These are really bad behaviors, but it happens every single day. And most people don't know it because we're not closing with the dishwashers at night and watching what they do at night. Not only is it extremely dangerous, but it's costing you money as far as chemicals and repairs. So what's the best way to ensure dishwashers are not practicing chemistry near the mop sink? You have to provide them with proper training. Now, when we hire a dishwasher, we typically assume that washing dishes in one place is just like washing dishes in another. Nothing could be further from the truth. If you have a chef and they have to hire a new person to work in their garde or pantry station. They don't just the names of the plates, how to use the equipment, and the types of chemicals are all different. They know what it is that they need to do and do it the correct way. So what's the best way to train game as it was when first washing dishes started? Training dishwashers is not difficult, but it doesn't get the job done. One-on-one training is still the best. With a certified dishwasher, train new employees through the ins and the outs of the restaurant and all the necessities of getting their job done. Even with a certified trainer, you still need some way to communicate your standards of operating procedures with dishwashers. This is best through basic, simple job aids like pictures that show what your expectations are. And when pictures don't cut it, a simple 1 to 2 minute video that the chef or manager can show on their mobile phone works the best. We can't all afford to have all of our materials translated to different languages and all the different languages that our dishwashers speak. Quite frankly, the amount of languages spoken inside a dish room is a lot. Simple videos work really, really well to show new dishwashers what the expectation is. And even though you may have language opportunities, like all employees need to have diversity and harassment training. If there are 2 places taking place, chances are it's inside the walk-in and inside the dish room, because no one's watching what's going on in those 2 places during operations. Training dishwashers is not rocket science, but that is the possibility why we overlook it so much. Hopefully after this session, you will agree that there is a role in our industry worth investing in, and that role is dishwashers, because investing in them will better your business. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there are an estimated 500,000 dishwashers inside of the United States. 500,000 for an estimated 616,000 restaurants that are out there. 500,000, 616,000 restaurants. That is a huge disparity, which should come as no surprise for many of you, because you're frequently just trying to hire dishwashers every single day so someone is closing it that night. That means that we have to take care of the dishwashers we have and invest in them as best way as possible. They are a crucial part of our business, and they provide a tremendous service to our industry. Now, throughout this session, we have looked at different ways to maximize the efficiency by properly closing and opening the dish station. We've looked at increasing profitability by properly taking care of equipment. Nice. Dishwashers are the backbone of our industry, and if you really want to improve operations of your restaurant, you need to start there first. Remember that our dishwashers today are executive chefs, general managers, and CEOs of the future. Let's invest in them so that we can invest in our industry in the future. Thank you very much.
Jesse, thank you for that. Really appreciate it. This is Damian again. If anyone has any questions, once again, just through my portal on your webinar screen underneath the questions tab. We do have one question, Jesse, and happening in the dish room over time. So I guess where we are today versus where we were 15, 20 years ago.
Very good question. And I will go back to a little discussion that I had with a dish here. And I was working inside the dish tank with them, and I was showing them how to clean the dish machine. And he stopped and said, "Oh, you've been a dishwasher before." And I'm like, "Yeah, I was a dishwasher when I first started working." And his response was, I just stopped and looked at him like, I'm not that old. The reality that the chemicals have gotten stronger throughout the time, but the basic fundamentals of dishwashing are really just the same. You have to instruct them the right way to do their job. You have to show them the right way to do their job, and on how much you care about their job for them to really return. But ultimately, the foundation of the job has really stayed the same. Great question.
Awesome. Appreciate that. And it looks like we don't have any other questions queued up currently. So with that said, I'd really like to thank you for hosting this, Jesse. And I appreciate everyone said. We will have this webinar posted to charts.org later on this afternoon. And then once again, feel free to view previous webinars that we've had out there. They're all cataloged on the website. With that said, appreciate everyone. Have a great